Welcome back to Hall of Fame College Football with Jason and the coach. I'm your host, Jason Watkins. He's the coach, Philip Roybal. And if you love college football, you know you're in the right place. So before you forget, smash that red subscriber button, like our videos, and don't forget to ring that bell so you don't miss one moment of Hall of Fame college football. Coach, welcome back to the show. Glad you're feeling better. I know you've been under the weather the last couple of days, man.
I tell you what, this old man's been getting sick a lot lately and can't recover very well. I'm struggling.
I feel you, brother. I feel you. It's it kind of it'll creep up on you a little bit more and stays around a little while longer, right?
It does. I am telling you. Jeez.
What's up, Kyle? What's up? Glad you were in here. I was definitely working on that a little bit. We'll talk a little bit about that, but I've got that video coming out. It'll probably hit in the morning on DeMarco Murray being, I guess, in the running for the same job at Ohio State. It would surprise me. I don't want to give it away. I don't know how much it would surprise me so much if he did take the job, just because of the fact there's a few things that you can kind of look at, and it just, I don't know, man. I don't know. I know what it'll do with Oklahoma fans, though. And I think that would hurt his legacy for sure. Welcome into the show, Sooner legend Mike. Thank you for coming in, Kyle. Yeah, I really don't think that he's probably going to go, guys, but you never know, man. You just don't know what's going on. As you can see at the bottom there, what we're talking about, the new norm in college football is that there's not a damn thing that's normal. Not one thing is normal in college football right now, and you just got to get used to it. And I just don't know where we're headed with a lot of this stuff. Coach, want to talk
It's the wild, wild west, man. It's the wild, wild west.
It is, man. It is. There's just no man. There's no guardrails. I hate the guardrails word, but there's no guardrails on anything. You know, hell, you got a offensive tackle born and raised in Iowa, number one offensive tackle in the country, 5-star guy from a year ago, goes, ends up flipping to Alabama, plays at Alabama every game he started, decides to hit the transfer portal after the season, goes back to Iowa before he ever even goes to a practice, is now saying he's back at Alabama.
Yeah.
Weird, right? Really weird.
Very.
So, I don't know, man. And we'll get into a little bit of that. But look, I think a lot of this kind of stuff too, you have to look at there's the ACC stuff is blowing up today. Clemson decided to get back into they decided to do basically what Florida State's done and sue the ACC to get out. Little different reasons or whatever. I think it's all pretty much the same, but it's starting to make you wonder. This ball is starting to roll. What's about to happen there if you get two of them? And to me, I almost feel like this is more of a negotiating tactic they're trying to get out. But something that I know we've kind of talked about this just a second ago in the green room is, listen, I almost feel like this has something to do with that CFP split. They're going up to 14 games. They made that official. It's officially out today, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
14 games. Or 14 teams, I'm sorry. The revenue split is basically they haven't said what the format's going to be just yet as far as buys and all that other kind of stuff yet. They didn't care about that. What they cared about was the money, which is very telling that's the only thing that they're really worried about. So in 2026, you're going to have 14 teams. You're going to have 2 years of 12, and then it's going to immediately move, right? Okay. But I really think I don't understand why the Big 12 and the ACC did this. And I believe that the ACC cowing down to the SEC and the Big 10 probably it was probably the final straw for Clemson, right? And gave them even more ammo to say, what are we doing? What are we doing?
Yeah.
I just don't know, man. And so that's kind of where I'm at. We can talk about a lot of that kind of stuff. Look, there's a lot of stuff happening around college football. You've got, stupid drink is going to be on with Josh Pate here in a few minutes. Whatever. I'm sure he's got plenty to say. We'll have new news about that tomorrow, I would imagine. Before we get into all that, guys, I want to first let's just run this little quick Mint Mobile deal. Want to hear from them real quick. Hey guys, before we jump into the topics for the day, I just wanted to take a moment to shout out our partners at Hall of Fame College Football, Mint Mobile. Look, I am super grateful for this partnership with Mint Mobile because, let's be serious, if you're anything like me, you're overpaying for your wireless service. But with Mint Mobile, you can get everything you get with big wireless, aside from the big price tag, for as low as $15 a month. Speed, coverage, data, 5G access, mobile hotspot. It's all available right there on Mint Mobile and for way less than you're used to paying at your big wireless carrier. How do they do it? Well, they basically just reimagined the entire wireless experience. That's all. They made it simple because they made it online. Now, no more going down to Big Wireless's store and dealing with a pushy salesperson, having to wait in a long line to do so. Everything you do with Mint Mobile is right through its app on the phone that you already own. You can literally go and purchase your service from the phone that you have and activate it right now. TryMintMobile.com/HOF is our partner link. And if you sign up today, you can get 3 months of unlimited talk, text, and data for just $45. That's $15 a month for the best package they have for 3 months. If you could get it with big wireless, you can get it right here on Mint Mobile. Check it out and thank me later. Telling you guys, Mint Mobile is the truth. It's something that I've really, I had them switch over for me, and I'm using it as a secondary line coach, and it actually has been working better than my other service was, and it's much cheaper. What a great deal. It's a great way that you can support the program. But guys, if there's ever a definition of a win-win, it's this Mint Mobile. They're on the nation's largest 5G network. You don't have to worry about service coverage. But yeah, get in there and check that out, man. It's an awesome deal. All right. Look, looking in here at some of this stuff. Welcome into the show, Sooner Cowboys. Again, Mike the Legend, Boomer 129. You guys are a little worried about thanks everybody for watching the Jaron Kanik video. I got busted on for how I pronounced his name a few times. I've heard it both ways, but I'm getting busted on. Anyway, lots of views on that video. Definitely a concern, I would think. If you're Jaron Kanik, that you need to get it together. And middle linebacker, if you don't know where to be, that's a problem because you're also supposed to be helping everybody else get in the right place, Coach. Right?
Yeah, that's your quarterback on defense.
Yeah. So I don't know. I know that, Boomer, I know you didn't, I don't know if you really were in agreement with and I'm not the first person. I'm not the person that really said this. I mean, we were kind of on Jaron a lot throughout the season last year because he had some god-awful games, but no more than BV was, I guarantee it. And you can just know that, look, these guys that they're recruiting right now that are waiting in the wings are not going to be waiting for long if this guy can't be in the right place. So we're going to find out what's going on. We're just going to have to wait and see. So I would tell you, yes, he's still around, but I think that the time is now. He better know and really show something. I think during the spring, I think that during the spring, you're going to know a lot. You know what I mean? By the spring game, we'll see something. Kanak. Yeah, I was saying Kanak. I know, but it's spelled Kanak. So, whatever. Anyways, look, I think that he's a great athlete.
You just don't have a knack to say Kanak.
Yeah, I said Kanak, and it's Kanak is what I'm hearing.
Kanak.
Yeah.
So you don't have a knack to say Kanak.
Correct. Yeah, Kyle, I kind of agree there. Kid plays like he wants to. And look, I saw, what Damian Mackey was talking about on K. Chris's show is he was saying that, he was taking on those big guards and stuff like that, and he's the guy that's 214, and he's over there. Sometimes you got to take that block on just so that you can open up somebody else to make the play. And you saw Jaren kind of not do it. And I mean, the BYU game was god awful. Just really bad, he's got moments, but I don't know, man. It's something that the more talent that they get, which is what everybody wants, is you want to stack up that talent, but the more talent they get, the less they're going to put up with mistakes from guys. You know what I mean? That's just going to kind of be how it is. We'll talk more about that later on. Look, all right. Let's talk about this ACC stuff, Coach.
Okay.
We've been talking a little bit about this, and Clemson filed in South Carolina County today a lawsuit to basically leave the conference. I really think that a lot of it probably has to do with that split, like what we were talking about. We'll kind of get into that a little bit in a minute, but here's the question that, and kind of where I'm at on it. The three asks that they're coming up with, there's something that they want to see happen is, first, they want the judge to enter a judgment against the ACC being able to retain their media rights if they're no longer a member. So if they're buying out or however they're getting out of it, they don't want to do it. Now, in the media rights that they signed, it says we own them until 2036, whether you're a member or not. Now, okay, they signed it, whatever. It is what it is. Then they also wanted to any withdrawal penalty to be voided, which that's not going to happen. And then they want a rule that the ACC cannot sue them for breach of contract. They want to, the ACC is probably filing tonight, on a countersuit, I would imagine, right? But it brings a lot of questions, because the truth is, I just go back and I start thinking about, okay, Oklahoma and Texas and what they were going to do and what they weren't. We were talking about, okay, are you going to get out of here early? You're going to have to wait. They negotiated it down. It never went to court, but they negotiated it from like 150 million to 100. And from what I'm hearing, neither one of them are paying a damn dime. I just don't think that they are. That kind of sets a precedent that ESPN is going to work this way. We're talking about, this is an ESPN conference. The ACC is, and if you're getting them to go to another one of their conferences, which I think some of them would be, probably not both of them, but Florida State's been saying that they want to go to the Big Ten. I have no idea why. But I know Miami, if they're involved in this, I've heard people from Miami going, we don't want shit to do with the Big Ten. It's too cold. We don't want to deal with it. But my thing is, I just see that a lot of this kind of stuff, and the reason that I kind of think it was weird that they hadn't done this already, but you kind of saw it coming when that split happened. Again, think about this already. The ACC or the SEC in the Big Ten are already making $40 to $50 million more off of their media deals than what the Big 12 is going to get and what the ACC was going to get. And it wasn't going to get, and they're going to renew their contracts before either one of them, too, is, either way. But with that split, and you're talking 29% for the SEC, 29% for the Big Ten. And they I think the ACC settled for 17%. Yeah. And then it was like 14 or something like that for the Big 12, which I'm not sure why they did that either. Whatever. This is what they settled on. Now, maybe the SEC and the Big Ten were going to take their ball and go home and just do it on their own. I mean, I think that you kind of needed to call that bluff, though.
Yep.
What do you got to lose? Because we're talking about what? Okay, so the difference is double. you're basically double, okay, if it's 17, that's another 12%. So, I mean, another 20, 30, 40 million dollars a year for the SEC and Big Ten schools in comparison to your already shitty deal. It was already a $40 million gap a year at least. It's probably going to be closer to 100. It's just insane to me, man. It's just insane to me. I don't know. But that tells me, okay, so do you think that, look, obviously we're not attorneys and I sure shit don't know enough about that. But a lot of these things that you're seeing, there's a lot of precedents that have been set and some of that stuff. I don't see why. Really, to me, I feel like here's what's happening. They're just trying to make sure that they can get out. They threw up this huge deal. Those three asks aren't reasonable asks. Those aren't reasonable just. But and I know that university presidents and conferences do not like being in court. It costs a shit ton of money, and you put yourself at a lot more risk than if you just get in the negotiating room.
Yeah.
I think that that's what's really happening here, but that spells the end of the ACC, more or less.
Yep.
Wouldn't you think?
Oh, yeah.
If you lose those two guys, probably and North Carolina's got to be coming next. Virginia, maybe Miami. I mean, look, the more it starts looking like that's going to be how it is. I don't know, man. I just feel like that this is going to be Miami.
It'll be
Clemson,
a domino effect.
I don't know about this one, Mars. If Miami, Clemson, and Florida State go to the Big 12, what makes sense? I don't know. I think that if Carolina did, I think that they're better off if they get the basketball school. They're not gonna. I don't see Florida State. Maybe Miami, maybe. But to be honest with you, until they get the basketball deal to where it's different, I think that the Big 12's in trouble too. I think that the Big 12's in trouble, man. If the Big 12 doesn't win a national championship in these first couple of years, I think they're fucked all the way. And they're not winning a national championship. They're not.
Yeah.
Who's going to win it? Okie Light? Yeah, right. Come on.
No.
Utah?
There's nobody in there. No,
there's not.
Well, and Mars, I have to say this. You made a perfect statement there in saying, does it make sense? Or your question was, does it make sense? What the hell does make sense today?
None of it does.
None of it makes sense. And it's going to continue to not make sense for a while.
Right.
It's not slowing down, guys.
No, and that's the thing. But I mean, it seems like the SEC, now I get it that the SEC and Big Ten are definitely there going for the jugular. They're using what power they have right now and exerting it. Now, people that were saying that Notre Dame came out of it in a bad way, I don't agree. 1% of $7 billion is a lot of fucking money.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money. So they're going to be fine. The only thing that I think the question is, are they going to get a bye? And because as well as I do, Coach, you guys go undefeated and have the number one team in the country going into it, and you got to play that first weekend, and somebody that isn't as ranked as high doesn't.
Sure,
you're not going to be happy about that, and it's not good for the game either.
And I agree, Jason. I agree with that. But at the end of the day, I mean, I think there's a give and take in that conversation from the perspective that, SEC, you're playing the conference championship. Mm-hmm. We're not. So that next week that we play in that first round, that's our conference championship.
The thing is, Coach, I think that you're going to see that you're going to have to play a hell of a schedule, though.
No, I agree, but and I've got that old coach's mentality, though. You know what? You got to play. You got to play the good ones to get there anyway.
Right. You'll make more money the better. I mean, the better seating you get, and the further you make it through there. I mean, look, man.
Sure.
3 or 4, you got to win 4 to win the whole thing instead of 3.
Yeah.
I hear look, you. If you're not the number 1 team in the country, I can understand it, right? But if you get, and who's to say that shit ain't gonna happen? Because look at what just happened last year with Florida State.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I agree.
And so there, you know, it's gonna be the same kind of deal. I don't know. I almost feel like that was the question I was asking you. Do you think this finally does it push Notre Dame towards the Big Ten again by the time 26 rolls around?
You know what? I'm going to tell you, I'm so damn confused myself. I don't know whether I'm coming or going on this deal because I say no. And then the next day I wake up and read more stuff and I'm like, oh, they got to go to the Big Ten. Next day I wake up, oh, no, we need to stay. I'm telling you, it's just not. It's
money-wise, we know you don't have to go
sense.
anywhere. We know they don't have to go anywhere money-wise. We understand that part. The money part is
it's the bracket.
The bracketing, having, more. Now, look, they're not going to leave Notre Dame out of it because it's Notre Dame and they are a brand of, they're one of the top 2 or 3 brands. They're a blue blood, There's a lot of Catholics in this country that love them some Notre Dame. It's the same way, people have been worried about would BYU get left out of it. I don't think so either. They've got LDS, and it's almost quite similar to what you see out of Notre Dame with the LDS faith really loving them some BYU Cougars. I don't think that they leave them out either. In the end, I think that they will probably go and poach from these other conferences if they ever do decide to do this Power 2 thing. I think that's what, and I don't know that there's any other way. If the ACC implodes and you can get strong enough in the Big 12 with basketball schools, and maybe you add one really solid football team, maybe Miami does go to the Big 12 and they're really good, right? Sure. Because we know they have money and we know they have tradition there. Now, they haven't done shit in a long time, but what if they do? If they did, they could be somebody that could carry you on that end of it.
But they've got to have one. They've got to have one that can carry them, because if they don't, they're screwed.
Yeah.
I mean,
I agree. I don't think that you can look. I'm not trying to bash the Big 12 right now. I'm not. And but look, if you're the Big 12 and you're relying on Oklahoma State or even Kansas State to be that team, bullshit. Now, if Deion Sanders really gets it turned around in Colorado and they become a true contender, fine. They're recruiting well, but right now they're still in that mode where they have to use just the portal. Very similar to what Florida State's been doing for the last couple of years, where they had to do the same thing. Same with Lincoln and USC, but we haven't seen those guys be able to win it all yet. We saw Ole Miss has really gone all in. Ohio State's gone all in on it, on the portal. This is a good test case year because we're talking about programs that hadn't been. I mean, well, Ole Miss has, but Ohio State hasn't. So, we're going to find out what that really does for them. But to me, you cannot afford, if you're the Big 12 or the ACC, to have given up that difference in the money in the split. You shouldn't have done it because you're already so far behind. We're talking 2 or 3 years can irrevocably damage you when you're 100 million behind or 80 or whatever the hell it's going to end up being. It ain't close. And that means you can't pay the players and you can't, it's easy to sell money. Plus, we're going to actually be the ones with a real chance to win the national championship, not the Big 12. That's not hard. That's not hard to do that. It's just to me,
they just economically they're gonna get beat through economics, and it's impossible for them to ever catch up once they get that far behind.
Yeah, if this goes 2, 3, 4, 5 years, if it gets to 3 or 4 years, man, I think that a lot of money. I think that unless one of these unless somehow an ACC before they go out, or a Big 12. Really, it's got to be a Big 12 team needs to go win it. If they don't win the national championship in these next 2 years before the money's so outrageously separated, you're screwed. And really, which one do you think is going to do that? Because I don't see one. I don't see a Big 12 team that does it. Sure as shit ain't going to be Okie Light. You know that. And you know, do you really trust Utah? I love Kyle Whittingham, but he recruits guys that are good at Utah. And then, yeah, they might get some transfers out of Texas here and there. That's how they got Cam Rising. But I'm telling you, they're not there either. Winning one game against the SEC is a lot different than having to deal with them all the time, or having to go through a long playoff or whatever. I mean, that's all he's ever really done. He's won those New Year's 6 games. He beat Alabama that time. Sure. He's beaten some good schools.
But it's going through the gauntlet.
You're not going to get through the gauntlet of the playoff, because that's the best of those them, and they're going to get more in.
The best of the best. They're going to get the best of the best.
Kyle, if K-State's the face of the Big 12, that's a problem for the Big 12. That's a problem for the Big 12.
Guys, and let's just face it, guys. When OU and Texas left, the Big 12 is shit. It when it comes to football,
it's going to be great, competitive, be a lot of fun to watch. Be a lot of fun to watch, I think, because it's going to be ultra competitive. But you need somebody that can carry the conference, that they're always going to be there, right? You just don't have that. You just don't have it. You don't have a single Big 12 team that recruits in the top 20. Now they don't recruit in the top 20. What are they going to do when they have that much less money? It ain't happening, man.
Hey, Mars, I do want to mention this, Mars. You know, would it be crazy Notre Dame going to the SEC? It just, again,
be fun.
I'm going to use that term again. Making sense. Nothing's making sense. The sense of it would be that they go to the Big Ten because it's regionally located for them, and so that it only makes sense. Now we know there's a lot of bad blood with Notre Dame in the Big Ten, but at the end of the day, at this point, that would make sense. If they go to the SEC, they go, but I don't see that really happening.
Yeah, Kyle, you said who else would it be other than K-State? It'd have to be Utah, BYU, Colorado. I mean, maybe TCU because of where they are. But to be honest, what good does that do? What happened when TCU got in? They won one game against Michigan. Good for them. They were choking their asses off for a while before they finally won this year, right? And then when they got in there against an SEC program, they got boat raced. They lost by 60. And listen, and I'm a fan of Sonny. I like a lot of these coaches.
I like all those guys. Yeah.
I'll tell you another thing. Lance Leipold's a hell of a coach. I think he's a hell of a coach. I like K-State's coach too. I think that Chris is a hell of a coach. And they've got a lot of really good coaches in this league. They never recruit inside the top 20. Never. That's never going to work. And they'll never have the kind of money that you need to have to get those guys.
Yeah. And that's exactly with less money you're going to get a lesser player.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, because you don't even have anything. I mean, look, the Alabamas of the world and Georgias, they're getting discounts on some of these guys because that are portal guys or whatever, or even kids in the recruiting, because they know once they get on the field, they're going to get them paid and they're going to get them in the league. So, but even that's not working. Look, Ohio State pushed them all in the middle. I mean, of course, you know, they have a new athletic director that came from Texas A&M, so that made sense. But Ryan Day's in trouble. He had to kind of do that. We've said this a lot. As much as I like Lane Kiffin, give me a fucking break. Ole Miss is not that. They're not that team. I don't care if they're making that money either. It doesn't matter. They're not going to be. He's still not going to get those recruits. Neither's Jeff Lebby at Mississippi State. and neither is drink at Mizzou. I don't give a shit how much money. There's gonna be some differences there. But if you're not in one of those leagues or making that kind of money, you cannot afford for that. You will become them right away. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that there's any one freaking school that can carry the Big 12, because I think that it's gonna be a freaking slugfest every year. We talked about it before. You're probably gonna have two lost teams in the conference championship game this year. Watch it happen. You might have a 2-loss and a 3-loss team in the conference title game.
Yeah.
That means that they were beating the crap out of each other.
Yeah.
You know. Look, again, you got to look at it in turn. Yeah, I like K-State too. And I think Chris Klieman, look, he's won a lot of national championships. So at the lower levels, so has Lance Leipold. You know, Kyle Whittingham, to me, has been the guy that's done more with less than anybody in the country. But if you don't think that this is an arms race, then we're missing, right? We're missing.
Right.
Look, Lane's great for football. He's great for college football. And look, he's a hell of a guy for quarterbacks and all that. But in the end, they're going to lose games, man. That's what they do. They just do. Right.
You know, Jason, and talking about the money and you know, having that team that's going to lead the charge, but going back to the money, because I've had a lot of people ask me about the Irish, and you know, well, they're not in that top tier of the funding, but you know, I think what a lot of people don't understand on that piece is
that's different.
You know, we got a $16.7 billion endowment fund that every year,
more like 22 million or something.
1% of that creates $167 million, guys. And so again, we're not
what
in
are they
that.
wanting for there? I mean, look at the facilities. You've been there a lot. I haven't been to a Notre Dame game in person.
And they're fixing to upgrade facilities now. They're fixing to upgrade now.
They were already nicer than everybody else's shit, mostly, I would imagine.
They're pretty nice. I mean, there's other ones that were definitely better, but because they've kind of kept that old nostalgia, but they are fixing to explode their facilities as we speak. But yeah, it's again, guys, it goes back to the funding side of this equation, and exactly what we're talking about. Boy, you got to have a GoDaddy or two that's going to be able to bring that money in, because, geez, if they don't, they're going to get left behind.
Right. Yeah, see, and this just goes to show you, like, Missouri, they don't know even what they're fucking talking about. They got some guy that gave them a bunch of money, anonymous donor to NIL. Okay, good for you. But you know where that landed them in recruiting? 23rd. 20th, maybe something. It was no better than 20th. Not good enough. And
no,
I mean, come on, man. They haven't won even a conference championship since the 50s. What are we talking about? You know, shit. Those guys are ridiculous. But and I don't care anything about that. I'm just saying, but they've got a better shot than anybody in the Big 12 does. And I think, hey, TP, you're right. They just haven't admitted it. And look, I give them a lot of props for what Brett Yormark is trying to do. You know, I'm not a big fan of his after the shit that they pulled in the whole. You had a lot of weird stuff going on with the tiebreakers and stuff the last few weeks of the season. Even the rest of the Big 12 wasn't happy with them. They were definitely doing some shady shit. That being said, I don't blame him for what he's trying to do. He's trying to help them to survive, and they have to embrace hoops and get money that way. But the truth of it is, basketball is never gonna make up that gap, particularly when you're on the split in the freaking playoff money now is it's going to be astronomical. It's essentially half. They're going to get, the Big 12 will get half of it. Now, if the ACC explodes, then maybe they get more of it because they end up with a lot of those ACC teams. I don't know how it's going to work, but you're going to have to find a better media deal than that. And if you do it for more than a year or two, you're screwed, man. What's up there? There's our boy Shotty. What's up, my man? Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's funny because they don't see the BVs choosing just to not open the checkbook. They think, we know. Look, they're recruiting. They're number 6 in the country right now. They're trending for 2 5-star freaking offensive linemen. They're fine. They're fine. But hey, talking about Notre Dame, coach.
Yeah,
big weekend this past weekend for you guys too. I mean, look, this is something that we hadn't seen out of your guys in a long time either. And this is what we're seeing. Number 1 right now. Now they're going to slip, but I don't see you probably getting out of the top 10 again. You're recruiting in the top 10. That's huge.
Yeah, I think we'll be in the top 10. And, you know, that's one thing we didn't do while we had Brian Kelly here. We weren't consistently fighting for kids. You know, you talked about a couple of those O linemen that OU is 5-star guys, and I think we're in the running for one of them. But we're having battles. What I'm liking is we're having battles with the top programs in the country instead of settling for all these 3-star guys that you know we were happy to get. And now we're in there running for those 5 stars, 4 stars. You know, this last weekend, obviously St. Patrick's weekend, and they've put something together that I think is pretty genius. They're calling it, then they do it on St. Patrick's weekend. It's the Pot of Gold weekend.
Right.
And we brought kids in from all over the country and had I think we had over 100 offers that we put out this weekend. We got some great kids here like Kevin Brown. He's a offensive tackle, 6'5", 265. Got another kid, 6'8", 300, Jason Cantrell, one of those 5-star kids. We have Devin Carter, 6 foot, 165 wide receiver. And I'm kind of going through the top 10 list. We had Dylan Faison, which is our receiver that we had this last year that plays lacrosse. But Faison he was a walk-on and came on and hell, he was probably our best receiver. We just, as a matter of fact, his brother just committed to us. And so we're excited about Faison because he was on our top 10 list. We got Jeremy Finch, 6'4", 235 defensive tackle out of Warren
This is the
Central.
25 class you're talking about?
Actually, right now, I'm talking 26.
Okay. Yeah, because right now you're number 1 with 18 total commits. Now, you don't have a 5-star according to the composite, but we're talking about guys like you've got one of the top safeties in the country, one of the best edge rushers. I mean, look, you've got the number, you know, a top 15 edge guy at 6'4", 250 already, Christopher Burgess. And you were talking about Jerome Bettis Jr., man. He's coming in. And obviously a wide receiver, but your wide receivers, they're definitely going after it. And we talked about this before. The difference in Notre Dame is, yes, the recruiting, but it's how they're recruiting. Physicality, offensive linemen, big, you know, they're going to beat you with physical, you know, and I think part of that was a byproduct of you haven't had great quarterback play. But now, if you can get some decent quarterback play and you got some receivers too, you're going to run the ball well because the offensive line is definitely one of the best in the countries. And now you have a decent offensive coordinator too.
Well, and I think that's going to play a huge key in this whole deal is having a coordinator that he actually is going to build his offense around the players that he has. And we haven't had that. We've tried to make things happen the way we wanted as a coordinator, but didn't have the kids to do it. And so I think that'll make a big difference. But the wide receiver room, that's a big room that I think we've got to. And you and I were talking about this earlier, Jason. But kind of like our quarterbacks, everybody keeps saying, "Well, hell, why y'all keep going to the portal? Why?" Well, Brian Kelly didn't recruit a quarterback that could throw to feed the starving birds, and so we've had to go to the portal the last couple of years. But I can tell you this. And I'm just telling you, after this year, we won't be going to the portal to get quarterbacks because now we've got a talented quarterback room. And the same thing with receivers. That's where we're really recruiting receivers because same thing. That room was, lots of 3-star guys that we used to time them with a sundial. Because they were so damn slow. But those two areas offensively are the big areas that we're looking to fill. And then obviously our secondary is another area that we're having to piece together a little bit.
Right.
But yeah,
right.
recruiting is going as good as it ever has there. And like you said, we're at number 1 right now, but we'll slide down. I mean, there's going to be the LSUs, the Ohio States.
Well, LSU's right behind you. LSU's right behind you. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Oklahoma, you're setting at 6.
Right.
And so, but in Georgia's at 9 right now, but where they're going to end up. But I think that's been an advantage to us, guys. Is the intentionality of going out and getting those guys early.
Yeah, look.
And it's helping us.
Right. Well, in Oklahoma, I mean, this is the fastest Oklahoma's actually done it since Venables got there was as far as getting recruits to go. A lot of that having to do with he doesn't want you to commit if you're going to continue taking visits other places and shit like that. So you're getting I think we're getting some silent commits that we don't know about necessarily.
Right.
In the end, I think that, they've got 9 commits so far, but what it's looking like where they're trending for, hey, we're going to figure out, but they're not going to fall out of the top 10. And the truth is they're guys that they're recruiting. We're talking big time safeties and, the places that they need offensive linemen. If you get one of those 2 offensive linemen that are 5-star guys to go to Oklahoma, you already got, and if you hold on to that kid that was a 3-star and has shot up the freaking recruiting rate, he's the same size as those other 2 kids.
Yeah.
We're talking offensive tackles. That's huge, right?
Yep.
So again, I think you got to take some of these star ratings with a grain of salt because it depends on where they go, where they end up, is where they're going to end up on that recruiting ranking. But the truth is, if you're in that top 10, and you're getting mostly blue chip guys, which if you look at Notre Dame, they've got 10 4-stars. That's 10 blue chippers,
Right.
Right. Oklahoma's they're at 5, 5, and 4. They've got 5 4-stars. They're trending for a couple of 5-star guys. That linebacker that's a 5-star as well. We're going to find out where that's all at. But again, it's the way you're recruiting and what you're recruiting. It's one thing to go and get Marvin Harrison Jr. or whoever the hell may be out there at receiver.
Sure.
But if you're not getting those guys in the trenches, what does it matter?
Doesn't matter.
It just doesn't matter.
You got to have them on both sides of the ball. And I tell you what, you brought up a good point is, what I'm really liking about Marcus Freeman and his staff right now, and I see y'all doing the very same thing. And y'all are ahead of us in that recruiting process, but our evaluation of players is so much better than it has been in the past. And we may pick up that 3-star, but I tell you what, they've done a great job evaluating that kid. And you know what? He's going to bump up to that 4 or 5-star possibly.
Well, and I mean, the coaches that you have, if Bill Beatonbow, he's got a bunch of dudes in the freaking NFL that were 1st and 2nd round picks. Hell, Tyler Guyton's going to go in the 1st round next month. He was on the bench at TCU as a defensive lineman.
Yeah.
He never played offensive lineman. He's going to be a freaking
And here he goes. Yeah.
a first rounder for after 2 years with Beatonbow. The guy will, believe me, it's been overstated how bad it is on the Oklahoma offensive line. It's not. They've been getting guys that are going to be fine.
Yeah.
And they went and got some guys, they went and picked up 4 guys out of the portal that all were from Power 5 schools that are going to be probably fine too. Again,
yeah.
I don't really worry about Bill Beatonbow and this is the thing, when you start looking at some of these positions that, okay, if Larry Johnson at Ohio State gets a defensive tackle, he's going to be a 5-star. The guy's coached 15 All-Americans. He's the godfather of defensive line coaches. 15 All-Americans. They're going to shoot him up the freaking rankings. They are in love with Brian Hartline and his receiver rooms. They ain't won shit with them, but they are in love with Brian Hartline and his selections at receiver. Now, don't get me wrong. They're good. But don't tell me that they're the only guys that know what the hell they're doing, because they're not. But that being said, look, the differences in a top 30 guy and a top 500 guy is this, man.
It is.
It really is a lot of times.
It is. And it's, it kind of goes along with what Shotty's saying here, the body types.
Body types, absolutely. You need 300-pounders for that offensive line, baby. Gotta have.
Y'all are going to be dealing with this in the SEC, but when you're playing those good football teams, the top-notch football teams, your old line, you're going to have to average 300 across the front line. You got to get there. But going back to that statement Shotty made and the body types and, length, you got to have, good football players have length. They have those long arms and, the good feet. I mean, there's a lot of great athletes out there right now. And you know what?
A lot of times, if they're not going to camps, you don't know who the hell they are. But what you really want to look at, instead of the star ratings, what you want to look at is how many offers they got. Who's offering them?
Yep. Absolutely. There's no doubt about that. And again, I agree with you, Jason, that there's a lot of kids out there that get overlooked that are just a smidgen away from exploding when they get to college. Absolutely. But again, how good a job are your coaches doing of evaluating? Because I can tell you, there's staffs that I see that I think, wow, they must just not do a great job of evaluating athletes. And I tell you what, evaluation, guys, is a tough job.
And on 3, Jimbo would be like, just go after all those dudes and dump money in their lap. That's not the same thing, man.
Guys, how many 5-stars at Oklahoma, at Notre Dame, at wherever? How many 5-stars have fizzled out? How many have fizzled out? Know what? Just because somebody puts a 5-star stamp on them doesn't make them necessarily the best. Now, potentially,
Arch Manning would be a 3-star if his last name was Smith.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Number 1 recruit in the country, according to all those recruiting services, because he's a Manning. The dude didn't do any competitions. He played in 2A football in Louisiana private school 2A, and they never won shit. And he's the number 1 guy. He wasn't in the Elite 11. He wasn't doing any of that shit.
Well, I tell you what, I've got a deal like that at Notre Dame, that now he throws the ball well and everything, but I'm still not sold on Carr. Everybody's Carr because his grandpa was the head coach at Michigan. Well, guys, that doesn't necessarily.
His film looked pretty freaking good, better than Arch Manning.
But again, you got to be so careful. People have been busting our balls about the minivan because
that's what you're calling Bettis, the minivan.
Yeah, where
I
you
bet
know
he
his dad
loves
was the
that.
bus, and so he's the minivan. And so people are saying, well, you know what? He's not real fast, which he's not. He's not great speed, but all his other attributes are going to make him a good player and a good receiver. But they're saying again, well, y'all just took him because you know his dad played in the NFL, played at Notre Dame. But again, it's evaluation of those
Okay, well, you're
athletes.
gonna have some of those guys. I mean, every school does.
Yeah,
You know, Clemson was. I mean, Clemson had every freaking coach's kid on staff as
right.
played at Clemson,
Yeah.
right?
Well, we got right now we got five X or five NFL players' sons on the team. And so I think that's part of the deal is people are saying, well, you know, y'all just going out and recruiting those kids because their dad's played in the league. Well, you
That's a
know,
fact.
maybe not. Maybe not. I mean, there's also a good side to
Okay, well,
having
look at
those
like
kids.
Brian Urlacher's kid. Brian Urlacher's kid is about the same measurables as Brian was when he was that age. And he's
Right.
been playing in a much better league than Brian played in whenever he
Yeah,
was in New Mexico high school football.
absolutely.
And he's gonna end up, isn't he coming in this class for you guys?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, so I mean, look, and I don't know how high up the rankings he is because you know, maybe he is, maybe he isn't, but his dad's a Hall of Famer. And I can tell you from having played against Brian Urlacher,
Yeah.
there's not a whole lot of guys that were better athletes than that dude.
Right.
And I mean, he played everything unbelievably well. He's an asshole, but that's neither here nor there. But but I can't believe I said that out loud, but it's true. You knew I'd say that shit out loud too.
I
No,
knew you
look,
would.
and Shawty, you're exactly right. When you're recruiting, you have to. This is what you have to do. You got to go and identify those guys that nobody else is seeing. You know, not only that, you have to be able to get something out of them that nobody else has gotten out of them yet.
Yeah.
But that's where I feel like, you know whether the stars are right or not. Because if you get a guy that his only offers, maybe he's got 10 offers and they're a bunch of G5 schools, then you probably should, I don't know. But okay, let's talk about Nigel Smith and Danny Okoye, right? They're 4-star guys, but I think they were both top 100 guys in one or two of the recruiting services. The composite had them at 4 or outside of the top 100. Jaden Jackson played at IMG right next to David Stone, and he's like number 300 in the country in some of those. When he's 300 pounds and one of those Samoan kids that just watch his film, it's dominant.
Yeah.
These guys had every one of them, both of those guys, or all three of those guys had major offers. Alabama, Texas, Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan. When you're getting all the big boys to give you an offer, that's when you know that the star may be off. The ranking may be off. But again, that's where we said, look, the differences between these guys, it's not necessarily very big. It's not necessarily very big.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and you know what really is interesting, going back to what you were saying there, you may have one that, you know, he's not a 5-star. You feel like you found a diamond in the rough.
Yeah.
And you know, Oklahoma's recruited him, and Notre Dame says, "Oh well, this kid's pretty good too." And you may just have two big schools after him early on because you found him, you found that player. But then everybody else wants to jump in on the bandwagon.
Well, just for instance, Ryan Foji, this offensive tackle, the guy that he's already committed to Oklahoma. Okay, 6'5", 275. He's out of Cypress, Texas. They got a good pro. He plays at Bridgeland in Cypress, Texas. Good program.
Yeah.
His film is unbelievable. When he committed, he was ranked 300, 400, somewhere like that. He's now in 247's top 100. He's number 80 now. In a matter of a month, He shot up the list at On3 and 247. Now ESPN and Rivals are a little further. Their rankings don't update as much, but yeah. Look, exactly. If I'm on film balling next to the 5-star, they got to see me too. Look, if you're a freaking 6'A", 6'5", 275 pound coming into your senior year, in Texas 6A football, probably a little better than top 500. Probably a little better than, and especially if you start looking at who they've offered, they've got those 2 5-star guys. So you've got, let's see, let me rattle them off here. We've been talking about them quite a bit. But offensive, okay, so you've got Michael Fasusi. He's a 5-star guy. But he's same thing, 6'4", 285 for him. So he's not even as big as Foji. And I'm telling you, if you watch, and you got to watch the film, the guy's beating the shit out of everybody. Pancakes, and nobody's coming close to his quarterback. He's got speed with it too. Yeah, man. And then you've got the kid that he's already gotten a bunch of crystal balls to go to Oklahoma, the other 5-star kid out of Denton Ryan. So, yeah, man. My concern is not necessarily that. Now, do you want them to be? Would you like it if they were, 5-star guys and you were number one all the time? Sure, but you'll know when you're number one in 2 or 3 years when they're about to, or 3 or 4 years when they're finishing up their career there, what they did. That's when you know. You don't know shit right now. So, yeah, Jacob Sexton was a 3-star. Trent Williams was a freaking 3-star. He's top 5 all-time, top 3 all-time offensive tackles, and he was a freaking 3-star. So was Orlando. Offensive line is the toughest position to recruit, I think, to identify, because aside from just size, there's a lot more to it, man. That's the ones that they don't always get right. But guys, you got to remember too, there's only 32 5-stars a year. 32. Those are their projected first-round picks.
Yep.
And again, I'm going to say this until people really kind of start understanding it, is how many of those guys are really that much better? Okay. How many of them become 5-stars? Nigel Smith would be a 5-star if he'd went to Ohio State. He would have. And they offered him in January of 22. He was that was one of his first offers after, going into his senior year. So, yeah, as long as I'm balling next to the 5-star, I'll let the recruiters figure out my stars. Yeah, listen.
Absolutely.
The recruiters don't, what matters is what the coaches think about you. The guys that are,
the guys you're going to work with on a day-to-day basis. And that's the other thing, guys. You know what?
I don't even know if Creed was a 3-star, guys. I don't even know if he was a 3-star.
So we got Oklahoma and we got Notre Dame, okay? We're both recruiting. Let's say we're both recruiting a 3-star player. We both like him. But you know what? The other thing is that's so important. Now, he may go to Oklahoma and be incredible there. He may go to Notre Dame and not be real good.
Not work out.
But
just depends on where you go.
The difference is the system.
Right.
Because that's another thing that's so important, is when you bring a player in, does he fit into your scheme and your system? And Absolutely. If he does, he's going to explode and become even better than he was. But it may not happen just because he's in this program or that program. The coach has got to find the right guy for their program. So,
well, it's like, we were talking about Missouri. They got Williams Nwaneri. They paid him. They were able to pay him before he even got out of high school. But they were paying him his whole senior year, and that flipped him. Good for them. Who do they got to develop this guy? Now, athletically speaking, it's probably he's going to get a shot to go to the NFL. Would he have been better prepared for the NFL though had he have gone and been under Todd Bates? Yes. Yes. Because Missouri's not going to get those kind of coaches. Man, if Drink is their guy and he's that's as good as you're going to get there. And he ain't that fucking good. Who's going to it's never going to happen. If Drink really is that guy, he won't be there much longer. Period.
Exactly.
If he really is that guy, he won't be there much longer, and they won't be able to sustain any of that. Same thing with Ole Miss. If it wasn't for look, it's easy to kind of bust on Lane a little bit because you kind of but if not for Lane, what would they be?
Sure,
they'd be Mississippi State like they always are. Right? Lane is got enough cachet that he's going to get some players, particularly offensively. Defense is what hurts them, although they were able to get a few of them. The money talks a little bit. But if Lane ever takes it up, look, Florida opens up this year. You don't think Lane would jump all over the Gators? You have to. You have to.
No doubt.
And then what happens to Ole Miss? It's just okay. Yeah, I wasn't positive about that. I didn't even know that he was. Okay, cool. 3-star by ESPN and Rivals. Okay. Hey, well, we know that Creed's unbelievable. Orlando Brown, unbelievable. Trent has been unbelievable for 20 years. He's still, nobody can get by him. But we're talking about they've got double-digit guys that were first or second round guys that have been coached by Bill Beatonbow, and Trent not being one of them. These guys, it's the hardest position for their. I'm gonna have to go and find that Kawan Joseph. Hey man, I'd love to see that. Never allowed a sack in college or the NFL yet. That's insane. Is that a real stat, Sooner Cowboys?
I'm not buying that one.
He's never given up a sack. I haven't heard that one, but if that's true,
that's incredible.
Forget top 3. He's the best. That's true. Okay. Wow. Okay. Well, does it surprise you? Not really. Except that, you'd see somebody dialing up something that gets by him somewhere, right? Trent's that dude, though, man. He is that dude. Well, remember guys like Larry Allen, unbelievable, right? Anthony Munoz, holy crap.
Yeah.
Unbelievable, right? But no, that's insane. Never allowed one in the NFL, and he's been in the NFL for a long time, man.
Wow.
That's crazy. And again, the offensive line, you kind of got to judge offensive lines as a unit. It's because if they're not working in sync together, it doesn't work out. You told me that a long time ago. You got to get them. You got to get the right mix. They're working together. Their communication's right. That they've got a good leadership, and the center's got to run things there. They've got to. They all have to be on the same page, or you're screwed.
No, they're all tied together. I mean, they really are. They got to work in unison all the time. I mean, and that's just like, and this, Jason, but that's just like you got a guard and tackle coming off and working a combo block. And, if you get him here, the guard's got to rub off, or the tackle, so it is, and the player next to you is going to make you a better player. Sure. If he's good. And so you're right. It's not just one player.
Well, and I was watching David on David Talks Buffs the other day, and he was trying to explain, and he has some all 22 film that he was trying to explain about this kid that a lot of the fans were hating on. He should have went to the portal. Hey, you need to build depth there. You don't need anybody to go to the damn portal off of the offensive line. Stay there. And hope that you could get them developed too. But And I kept telling everybody in there, and because I was just watching it, but I got in the comments and I was like, guys, you get this one guy thing, it doesn't matter. It's not just about one dude. You need to have a bunch. They all have to be good and they all have to be working in sync. You can get away on the offensive line with having a couple of smaller guys if they are that dude. You know what I mean?
Especially
sometimes
the
that
center.
works out better. Right. Well, yeah, of course.
You can play with a smaller center. But you're right. I mean, they got to work in tandem.
They do, and I always go back to, well, and I knew that, whenever I played, but I remember coming over, I learned more about running the football and being a good offensive line from what I saw from you guys than I'd probably ever known up until that point, right? Because of the way that your teams were, we're gonna run over your ass. This is what we do, and we're gonna play that style of football. So yeah, it was just a little bit different, but you got to be smart. Yes, you do, man.
Absolutely.
Yes,
got to be smart. You got to be aggressive. You got to have great feet.
Look what he said. Every snap's like a dance. No one can miss a step. You're not wrong.
Amen,
and that's what
brother.
I was saying to those guys in there, that I was like, you guys are insane. And they were like yelling at David about, why are you showing this game? Why don't you show the game that he really sucked in when he was hurt? Of course, it doesn't take much. It doesn't take much, man. Of cohesion over multiple years. Haven't had the last couple. Well, they hadn't started off. I would tell you, Sooner Cowboys, that they hadn't started off as quickly to where they meshed together as fast, right? I think a lot of that, guys, you got to realize that, again, what's it say right here on the bottom? The new norm in college football is that nothing is normal. Offensive line and defensive line, what they are the most sought after positions are those cats. So they have a big market for money. And right now, you can go wherever the hell you want. Look at what we just saw today. The kid from this is crazy. Look, I'm gonna freaking share this. He's even trolling at this point. This is some shit. This was on his feed. Caden Proctor saying he's going back to Alabama. The guy goes to Bama, leaves Bama to go to Iowa. He hasn't even had a full practice yet, and he's back in Alabama. You just don't know what's going to happen.
That's craziness.
It's just wild.
Crazy.
And yeah, man. It's pretty wild.
Well, and this talks a little bit about coaches too, though, guys. I mean, it talks about the way you think a little bit, because you know what? And I don't, well, I guess I can go ahead and say it. I don't give a shit if you're that stud. If you leave me, we just got a divorce. I ain't going to turn around and take you right back. I'm not going to. And so,
but he did leave when it was Saban. He left when it was Saban. Now it's
okay.
What I mean?
Yeah, I got you. But I
don't know that matters so much. But I mean, but Kalen DeBoer doesn't have to worry about what Nick Saban thought.
Well, I tell you this, I tell you what I think is important in that. Just like you're looking behind me in this locker room, that's what's going to be important, because you left your damn teammates. You didn't just leave the head coach. You left your teammates, and how accepting are you as a teammate? Look, asshole, you left us, and now you want to be back with us.
Well, they said he was hanging out with all of them in spring break. I guess it was. It sounds like the team brought him back.
Well, and
so it is what it is. I mean, here's the thing.
Important. That's important. I mean, I think that's an important piece. If they really felt like he should be back, I think that speaks volumes.
No doubt. Folks, if you have not already wiped your feet, hit that freaking like button. We really need you to do that. If you're not already a subscriber to the Hall of Fame Sooner Network, make sure that you get over there and do that as well. We're trying to kind of move a lot of that so that we can keep this more of a national channel. But we're going to have to get those. We got to get over 1,000 subs first before you do that. Here's the thing, Shawty, you're probably, I agree. You're not finding very many of these guys in there but there's a demand for them. And so there's money out there, right? There's money. And so there's always going to be an opportunity to get more. So yeah, look, this is just the new norm that we're talking about. You don't know what you're going to end up with, and we don't know how it's going to be, but it's like what we were talking about Kanik earlier, guys. You're going to tell me that if he hasn't significantly improved and you're not playing Samuel Omasigo and Lewis Carter, who are clearly getting it and should be, they were both top 100 guys. Now you've had them in the program 2 years and really haven't used them that much. How you think they're hanging out? Because I don't. Jaron Kanak has had his opportunities.
Kanik,
whatever. And I'm not even hating on the guy. I love it. I think he's a great athlete. I think that when you're in your own head and you're not going full speed, you're screwed. Maybe a change of scenery is better. I think that the spring, he's got a lot to prove over the next few weeks of the spring. If he doesn't, he's probably not going to. I mean, somebody's leaving. It's either going to be him or it's going to be those other guys.
Yeah.
That's all I know.
I agree.
And so, look, these guys are not going to hang around and stay on the bench like they used to. Phil Picciotti, same thing.
But you know what? Going back to that statement, I'm sorry, Jason. Going back to that statement Shotty made. It's a good statement because you're not going to get your O-line out of the portal. You may get a player, but you better not count on the portal to win with your offensive line. Because those guys, you got, I tell you what,
because they're going to pay their asses. Those are the guys that if they identified. Look, Caden Green with him, they tampered the shit out of him at Mizzou, and Oklahoma met his demands all the way, and he still left because apparently he never asked for any more or whatever. And I'm not going to get into all that, but look. It wasn't like I think that was on his dad. He kept saying, "Oh, you got to talk to my dad." His mind was made up, and they obviously gave him more money, but he was a starter for 7 games. He's a local kid. You sometimes you got to open the pocketbook, but it wasn't because Oklahoma wasn't willing to pay him. They were, they were. They had gotten value out of him. You would have done it. Yes. Hey, man. Iowa State got a he told on Iowa State for tampering with him.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? Another thing
they self-report this shit, and now he's going back to Alabama. What a dick. I don't know. He's from there, but I don't know if I would put up with that shit at all. If I was, you better never come back. You better never come back.
Well, and I tell you another thing about the old line guys. Those guys are pretty, and like Shotty said earlier, they're really smart. They're gonna stick together. They're a tight-knit group. And I'm gonna tell you guys, there's 3 positions on the field that you better recruit well. Number 1, you better get you a damn quarterback.
Yeah, absolutely.
You better have a quarterback. The other 2 is the O-line and D-line. If you build your team around those 3 areas, you're going to be a pretty damn good football team.
No doubt.
But those 3 areas, you've got to be able to build around them. And if you don't have an O-line or you don't have a D-line or you don't have a quarterback, you ain't going to be very good. It's just a fact.
Right.
So,
no, and look, you absolutely have to. I mean, we know this. We talked about it. This is all we ever talk about when it comes to Oklahoma is what are you doing in the trenches? They've continued to do very well recruiting offensive guys. What are you doing on defense? And particularly, what are you doing on the defensive line? That's what it is. What's up,
Well,
Stephen G? What's up, man? Good to see you.
sorry to hear that, Stephen G.
Oh, whoa. In the hospital? Oh, no, man. I'm sorry to hear that, too. Prayers going
Well,
out to you, man. Hey, have you guys heard anything from T-Boomer? He was supposed to send me a deal. His wife has got cancer, too. T-Boomer, I haven't seen him in here since then. He was supposed to email me. They have a GoFundMe, okay? If you see him on any of these other shows or anything like that, tell him that I didn't get that. I didn't get his email or the link for that GoFundMe for the medical expenses. I'd love to post it. I hadn't seen it and I hadn't got to talk to him since then again. So if you guys see him around, T Boomer, do that because man, he's apparently his wife is not doing well at all. So, or well, he thinks that everything's going to be okay, but she's going through some cancer stuff and he's concerned, you know, so that's why he hadn't been around either. But look, I hope everything's okay. With you too, Stephen G. That's yeah, I'll argue don't change mechanics. Yeah, maybe. But will he stay around though? That's the thing. If he's not going to play, what do you stay for? You know, I don't know, man.
You know, Jason, going back to, I want to kind of beating a dead horse, but talking about those 3 areas that you better have. And I go back and I look at our teams of the last couple of years under Marcus, and we've had a good defensive line. We've had a good offensive line.
Great offensive line.
But we lacked the quarterback. We lacked the quarterback. And so
did you though, or did you just lack a very good offensive mind that could get your quarterback?
Well, that's part of it. Well, that's part of it. But we still, even with Pretty Boy last year, he wasn't the answer to you know to what we needed to do. I mean, because the scheme that
he was really inconsistent, right?
Well, and you know, the scheme was completely different. And what he was doing, you know, back at where'd he come from? Hell, I can't even remember now. Wake Forest.
Oh, Wake.
But what he was doing at Wake Forest was a whole different scheme than what we were doing here. And he was good at that. He was good at the mesh. We didn't run mesh, and so again,
no, it's more of a profile at Notre Dame.
Yeah, we didn't have a quarterback, but I tell you what, I think Riley Leonard's going to fit that mold a hell of a lot better than he did, than Pretty Boy. But anyway, yeah, it guys, I'm telling you, those 3 things, you recruit them, and you're going to be successful.
Yeah. The only thing that I would say is this. When it comes to, I mean, I know we kind of got off track. Now we're back on Canic, but I'm going to tell you guys that where you are, if they're going to recruit where they're recruiting right now, that means that they're bringing in guys that there's always you're going to get losses. You're going to end up losing guys. Marcus Majors, everybody wanted to see Marcus Major kill it for the last 7-10 years, however long he's been at Oklahoma. He never really did. He needed to get out of there. Same with, you know, some of these other guys that have gotten out of there. Tawi even. I love Tawi, right? In the end, was he going to get on the field here? No, he wasn't. You've got too many guys in the running back room now that he wasn't going to get on the field. And for that matter, I mean, you know, we'll talk a little bit about what some of the red flags for DeMarco is. Tawi took a swing at his ass. You know what I mean? And I don't know. So he's not going to start at middle linebacker if he can't even get himself in the right position, bro. Tyler, his job is to get everybody in that position if he's middle backer, and he doesn't even know where he's supposed to be. What does that even mean?
Yeah, let's put the center at quarterback. That's what you're doing. I mean, you're putting – he's got to run the whole defense, everything. He's got to know what everybody on the defense does. And he's got to know every adjustment.
Mm-hmm. Look, guys, I'm going to tell you now. I'm going to tell you right now that Kip was He would make, I'm not saying he never made mistakes. He didn't make them over and over and over again. And that's when coaches get sick of your shit. Coach, if you have to coach a guy if you got to correct the same thing and you're not getting it, how long is that going to take you?
Not very
before you're
long.
done.
Not very long.
Especially for the middle linebacker.
No, I can't. Again, he's my quarterback. I can't hang with him if he can't do what I'm asking him to do. We're going to move on to the next one.
Mm-hmm. He did
Bottom
not make
line.
as many mistakes. He did not. He made plays in ways that Kennick never did. Look, and I am a fan of the kid. I think that athletically speaking, he could be good. He's not but you think he's a better athlete than Lewis Carter? I don't. Do you think he's a better athlete than Sammy? Nope. I don't. I think, okay, fine. Good relief linebacker, special teamer, but he can't be the middle linebacker. He doesn't know what he's doing. Maybe he stays around this year. This is something I was thinking about the other day. Maybe a little time on the bench and seeing it done right would improve him. Weak side is your play. Okay, Tyler, I understand that you go make plays, but if you're not in the right spot, and you're not getting other people in the right spot, you're not reading what the offense is doing. I'm just talking. Coach, talk
what the
for
hell
me.
does that mean? Well,
Yeah.
You're just talking. Well, let's talk, Tyler. So let me ask you something. Let's transfer over to offense real quick. If your quarterback doesn't know how to make reads, he doesn't know what the hell he's doing, are you a little bit concerned, Tyler? Are you a little bit concerned?
Not finding the wide open guy?
That's the same thing. We're not just talking. This is factual football. Football 101, baby. And if your Mike linebacker ain't worth a shit, your defense ain't worth a shit.
Mm-hmm.
Bottom line.
He was taking on at 214. He was taking on guards when Kennick wouldn't do it. I don't even want to be like one guy versus the other here. That's not even what I'm trying to do. But you're sitting here telling me that I'm so wrong. I'm not even the only one saying this stuff. In fact, I wasn't the first one to. How many times did you see him not make a play last year, though? How many times? It happens all the time. Completely clueless. Absolutely, Ben. Absolutely.
I tell you what, Tyler, if he's a linebacker and doesn't get any better in the SEC, y'all are in deep shit.
That's right. And hey, let me ask you something. Mike Singletary won that damn big middle linebacker. You
got to play. Football is a violent game, and you got to play violently. I don't care how you slice it or dice it. You can't step up there like a damn cotton ball to try to take somebody on. You gotta viciously go beat them up.
We like QBs 2 and 3. We like who's number 2, Stephen G? Who's number 2 and 3? Who's number 2 in your opinion? I believe that if Jackson was to get hurt, let's say Jackson was to get hurt, and God forbid, but if he was to, and it was just for that game, I think that probably they do the break the glass thing. And Stephen G, I'm probably with you on this one. That they do the break the glass, put Casey in, as long as he's healthy enough, right? And Casey's not terrible. I think in a situation like that, he'd probably be, quicker to be able to play right now. If it goes past a week or so, I don't think that they keep Michael Hawkins out. I don't. And I would put him in all day. All day. He can do it all. He runs a sub 4.5, and he can throw it like Jackson. So yeah. His dad was a 12-year NFL player. He comes from good genes. I would not be too worried about that cat. I wouldn't. I also think that in a situation where you're in a close game, you're probably going to stick Casey in there because he's got experience. As long as he's ever able to, I mean, he hasn't been released fully yet. Apparently he's close. Yeah. 2 in the middle of the game. Yeah. Yep. That was what I thought too. Listen, I hope that he is. I hope that everything that everybody's saying, maybe it gets in there and he figures it out. Look, all I'm saying is he hadn't figured it out in 2 years.
Jason, and you've already said this. He's got this spring to do it. He's got this spring to do it.
And what K. Chris was saying the other night on his show, if you guys hadn't watched that, you should watch what they're talking about. You know, some of these guys, they get to looking over their shoulder, coach. They start feeling the pressure from the guys behind them, and it doesn't get them better. It gets them worse. They get in their head more. When you're in your head, it doesn't matter how good an athlete you are.
Exactly.
Oh, Bolter, but I mean, come on. I'm better than Davis Bevel. Probably not. No, I'm not. In fact, I hate it that we are so rough on Davis Bevel, but yeah. Look, here's the other thing. If you're not going full speed, if you're going to make a mistake, do it full speed. He's not even doing that. It just doesn't make sense to me, man.
And guys, I tell you this, I don't give a shit if Kanak is good or not good. I'm just telling you what I've seen and some of the facts of what that position consists of. Yeah. And right now, he's not the guy. Right now. Now this spring, he may the light switch may come on.
I hope it does. I hope it switches on because he's a 4'3" guy. He's 225, 226. He's got some,
he's got the tools.
But if you're not going full speed, what does it freaking matter that you're a 4'3" guy?
Doesn't.
What does it matter? It doesn't. Just to real quick here, not the offers. Let me look at this. Just to kind of let you guys understand where I'm coming from on this too, is look, you've got Samuel Omosigo was number 76 in the country. He was 208 coming in and one of the best athletes you see. Kip is a good athlete. There's nothing wrong with the guy. He's a football player. I don't care if he's 215, if his muscles, if he's taking on blocks and he made more plays. Steven G just trying to pick.
Oh, I
pressure will butt. Thank you. It'll make a diamond or burst of light. That's exactly correct, Shawty. Sometimes it is what it is.
Yeah,
he has been, and look, maybe he'll snap out of it. You see it happen sometimes. It almost felt like, okay, so when he had a good game, it was always when Danny was there. When Danny went out, he was awful. Then when Danny came back for the West Virginia game and then the BYU game, what happened then? Then he's looking over his shoulder because he'd already been getting jerked out a lot. Kobe was even coming in and playing. Yeah, man, he does. Look, that's what I've been trying to say. Go look at the film a little more because if you think that Kanak was better than Kip was when he was in the game, you weren't watching.
Move on from this one, Jason.
I'm over it. I'm over it. I said what I did. I said what I said, and I'm not even saying that I don't like the guy. I wish he would get it together. I really do.
Yeah,
because I think he could be amazing. He was really good in the goal line stand. He was there making plays. Same with
and Tyler. I don't give a shit if he's starting or not. Is he making plays? Who gives a shit if he starts? I see bad players starting all the time, but does he make plays? That's and hopefully in the spring,
this is year 3 of BV. He wants to have a top 10 defense. He's not cutting slack anymore. He doesn't have to. Lewis Carter, another guy. you know, 205, he's another 6 foot guy. These guys are superior athletes. Maybe he will be. Maybe he will. I think maybe if you figure out a way to get him some snaps here, situational, do some things on special teams, like you were saying, but let him see what somebody that's doing it right is doing, and maybe the light does turn on. Maybe it's halfway through the season, whatever. I'm just telling you, if he doesn't get it together in the spring, they may ask him to change positions. They've got depth.
Well, and here's another thing. I think another thing that's important, and then let's move on. But
I'm done.
One of the things too is, and it's not just his play. And this is one that scares me, because if I had a Mike backer that didn't know what everybody did and couldn't get them lined up in the correct defensive formations, that's what scares me more about him than anything, is that piece. Can he get that done? Again, we'll see. But
look,
moving on.
Here's the thing about the last thing I'm going to say about it is this. First off, I pointed out I thought that show was really good that Kate Chris and those guys did with Barry and Mac. Very good show. We pointed it out during the season that you were not getting what you needed out of him. And I'm going to tell you now that you think that Brent Venables is going to play favorites. He's not. He's going to put the guy in the game that's going to make them be a top 10 defense, which he expects this year. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you another thing. You think that Danny Stutzman is gonna just say, just because they're boys, because they are, you think that he's not going to want Kip in? He's also boys with him. Look, those guys are ready to win. They don't want to, they're not screwing around about it. Yeah, look, one thing I know is this. It's whatever any of us think, whether it's Damian Mackey, whether it's you, whether it's me, whether it's Coach Roybal, you know who's going to know is the linebacker coach. Zach Alley and freaking Brent Venables. That's it. We're done with this conversation. Done with that part.
Okay, moving on, baby. Moving on.
All right. Yeah, BV, we trust he has forgotten more about linebacker play than all of us combined know. I agree.
Amen, brother. Amen.
Yep. Okay. So we talked about the ACC and all that kind of stuff. Something I didn't pop that up there until the end. Until later. I think I meant to hit it over there, but what was I saying before? Somebody had said something about, North Carolina. Why are they sought after? Because North Carolina's brand is as big as anybody's. That's not a full-on blue blood. Whether it's a basketball school, it's Michael Jordan's basketball school. You know what I mean? This North Carolina, and they've been good. They haven't been great. They've been okay, right? Yeah, there's another thing. Yeah. But those guys aren't getting left out, right? They'll leave out Okie Light before they leave out Carolina. I promise. You know? Yeah. Look, I don't know how this is all going to end up, but what it looks like to me is the ACC is on their days are numbered, because the truth is, what are you doing? You're going to delay the inevitable. Some of those schools would be good ads that aren't necessarily good ads for the ACC, or I mean for the SEC or the Big Ten, but they would be a really good ad for the Big 12, particularly with hoop. And they can be another one of those highly competitive. Think about North Carolina State. Now, I think North Carolina State might get sucked into the SEC just because of what's going on with Carolina.
Yeah.
But North Carolina State, that coach, he just wins 9 games a year. He just wins 9 games a year. You know what I mean? There'd be another one of those. And that's the one thing, if you're going to hang your hat on something as the Big 12, it's that we have a very competitive league. Yeah, I still believe that you have to have somebody to carry you, but I don't, Yeah. Hey, thanks for coming in, man. We appreciate you, Legend Mike. Appreciate you a lot. Feeling better. I'm glad you're feeling better too. Yeah.
See you sooner, legends.
Yeah, see you there. Let's see. Next. Too much money involved. Let's see. What else we got? Speaking of Okie Light, did anybody else see Tulsa beat the Okie Light? Hey, you know what else? You know what else I saw? Speaking of Okie Light, and you know that's a trigger statement you just made right there. But Miss Kelly Maxwell was National Pitcher of the Week. She had 11 innings pitched and only gave up 2 hits the entire time.
Wow.
So
wow.
Yeah, how she got away from Okie Light, and boy, are they hating it. Triggered. That makes me laugh. I love it.
Hey, since we brought that up,
win. How can you blame her for wanting to go win?
I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer, right?
Mm-hmm.
No-brainer.
Yeah, thanks for Kelly. Thanks for Kelly. We appreciate it. We appreciate it. Yeah, Okie Light Cody be real pissed off right now because he's not a fan of her. Yes,
I do want to mention, Jason, since we got kind of in between things, but I got to give a shout out to my Notre Dame women's basketball team winning the ACC conference championship. They were the 4 seed and ended up beating number 1 and number 2 on their way there.
Wow.
So, and
they only have 2 players, though. They got 6 players, so that's going to be probably a tough way to get through there, right?
6 players, but I tell you what, I see them getting to the Sweet 16 with 6. They had 7.
Justin,
they had 7, but she blew out her. Their post player blew out her knee in the second ball game of the tournament, ACC tournament. So, wow. But anyway, we get, and the sad part is we got some studs sitting on the bench, studs.
Yeah.
So, but we'll be okay. But anyway, just shout out to my
fun.
Irish
I'll
ladies.
tell you what, women's basketball's gotten a lot better than it used to be.
Oh,
at least there's
I enjoy watching
a whole handful of teams that can win it now. Used to it was 2. It was 2.
No, I tell you
it was
what,
UConn and Tennessee, and there really wasn't anybody else.
No. Well, and I tell you what, I don't think anybody can beat South Carolina. They're good.
No.
I'm sure you saw that stuff.
That's what you'll hear every time, Jordan. But did you attend OU? Yes. I did. And I always want to know how many of those clowns attended, because a lot of them didn't.
Yeah.
You got to be able to read to get into school, to be able to get into college. Sorry. Not sorry.
Not sorry.
Yes. Sooner women's basketball, absolutely unbelievably. They tore it up. They won the regular season championship, swept Texas, swept Okie Light for the second year in a row, swept Okie Light, pissed that coach right off. She's hot though. I gotta give her that. Okie Light's coach is freaking hot. Yeah, they beat them both places. Yeah, well, listen, you got to be able to. Come on, you got to be able to at least write your name, Justin. You know what I mean? Moser's definitely. I think he's on the hot seat now, but I don't know that he should be. But we don't need to get into all that. I don't think that they got screwed. You can't go 2-8 in the last 10 and expect to get in. That's it. You just can't. I don't care if it's the Big 12 or not. 20 wins isn't what it used to be, because there's a lot of crap wins in that. Now, the Big 12, that's not good. Right? Yeah, but if you can't read, you can't write it either there, Justin. I don't know. I think that they needed to get in. I think they needed to. There are only 2 wins in the last 10 games. Came against Oklahoma State, which was shitty, and fired their coach, and they only won by a combined 6. It wasn't a good ending. It If they win one more game in the tournament, in the conference tournament, maybe. Right? So, yeah, broken clock right twice a day. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, they didn't. They didn't. I mean, they had some moments, but I think that they also had some bad moments. And that's just kind of how, I mean, college basketball is a different deal too. And now you can sit here and look at a lot of the teams from around the country and be like, yeah, they were better than them, but you don't know. You know, you needed one more big win. They lost a lot of those games to the big to those good teams, and they needed one, right? Coach, I love it. I can read just fine. They almost had Houston. They almost had Carolina for a while too. They kind of gagged on that one too. That's 2 number 1 seasons. They beat one of them. They're in. You know, you're right there, Coach. Been a little sickly, guys. Anything else? Let's see. Yeah, I mean, you know, we could always spend some time busting on Okie Light. I just love that they believe that they're going to win. They just think that now that Oklahoma and Texas are gone, that they own the Big 12 conference. I will bet anybody that they don't win it. They don't win the conference championship this year. I'd bet that money all day, every day. And I don't care that they probably have one of the best running backs in the country. Don't care. They also have Alan Bowman at quarterback coming back. I don't buy him. Nope. They're gonna get the shit kicked out of them by. I mean, they might get back to the game. I don't even know if I see that. I think Arizona's better. We'll see what's up with them and their new coach. But I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I'm ready to see everybody play too. Hey, Sooner Lemon, thanks for coming in, my man. I'm here. What's up, everybody? Boomer Sooner, thank you for the super chat, my man. Appreciate that. Yeah, hey, look, we still got a few months away, guys. Still got a few months away. What do you want to talk about, though, as we move along through this? We're going to continue to, you know, we've got our No Cap SEC starting, coming back up on Thursday night. We got a few things, hoping to be able to get Shelton. I need to get a hold of him to make sure he's still in for that one. We're going to break down Florida. We'll talk about some of this other stuff as well. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff going on with the SEC. And everything that's happening, but we're gonna find off. Yeah, look, man, it always does, man, and it seems like it's more and more. The rest of the freaking time goes by, the season goes by so fast. It's like we blinked and it was over, right? But then the rest of it's like rough. Yeah. Hey, look, spring game coming up as well. Probably gonna be out there for that one. Working on a few things. I'm actually trying to get out there. So, to be fair, Dallas Baptist is really good. Just so you know, they're one of those programs that, and JUCO programs. I don't know how many of you guys know this. Bryce Harper played at a JUCO that won the national championship. The Hobbs, New Mexico, where I'm at right now, they've won the national championship. They would beat the shit out of a lot of really good Division I teams with those teams that were going to the World Series a lot of those times. Dallas Baptist is good. They've always been good.
Very good.
When could we get some more Notre Dame content? We actually have some more stuff coming up. I've got the one coming up tomorrow. I'm going to talk about what I feel about the whole deal with DeMarco Murray. And first and foremost, I'm a fan of DeMarco. I hope that it works out. But we're also, Coach and I, he's been sick, but we've got something planned for to do a little bit of a breakdown with Coach Venables. He knows Coach Venables is, you know, Coach V recruited a lot of his players. They have a pretty good relationship. That you should have seen them at Big 12 Media Days. They talk forever. Coach V didn't do that with anybody except for Coach Roybal. But you know, look, I really believe that you're gonna see some more of that kind of stuff. But then look, I feel like we can do the same thing because like you said, there's a lot of similarities between where these programs are in the development time, right? They're kind of in that same, I mean, they've had the coaches for the same amount of time trying to do the same kind of stuff. Summit Hawk, what's up, my man? Let's go Jayhawks. Big year, hopefully, in football, and always let's go Irish too. Hey, thanks for the super chat, Summit Hawk. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate it. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, they got
Thanks,
good
sir.
coach. Yeah. They're always like that, man. They really are.
Yeah.
Kyle Dupuis. Let's see. I want to go see the OU hockey team. That'd be cool.
Mhm.
Hey, could Kansas look, that's not if Jalen Daniels is healthy, who beats him? If Jalen Daniels is healthy, who beats him? Because they've just gotten better every year.
Oh, that's one of the top 3 things, right?
Yeah, quarterback play. Yeah, and look, they had a good second quarterback. You know, Jason Beam was good.
Yeah.
But he's not Jalen Daniels, but he was good. Yeah, I think this is like his 5th or 6th year anyway. Pretty sure about that. That would be, oh, dude. You know what, Stephen G? It would be a lot of fun, but it might get a little testy around here. Might get a little testy around here.
Not with me. I'll give it up.
We'd be talking some shit, but it would be it's always all in good fun with me and Coach. Even
Absolutely.
when we yell at each other, it's always in good fun.
Always. It is.
Yeah. Look, I'm looking forward to the playoff and seeing where everybody kind of stacks up for these first couple of years. I'll say this again. If they don't find a way to close the gap in revenue, it won't be close for long. It will not be close for long.
I still don't like that group of 5 crap. They don't deserve to be in it.
They shouldn't be in it. No, they shouldn't. And particularly, you're putting them in, but you're giving them nothing. You're not even. I mean, you're basically giving them nothing. So how could they ever get better and compete? They have no money.
They're not.
They have no business there. You're better off. They'd make more money doing their own playoff for the G5.
Yeah, they would.
I mean, real football people that love football would watch it. And guess what? You could probably get more of those kids would have a better opportunity to get noticed if they're on TV. Yeah. That's it. You think that's not going to happen, Kyle? Because it will. I don't know that it'll be Oklahoma, but it's going to be somebody.
It's going to happen to somebody.
It's going to happen to somebody. I don't give a shit how many there are. That 1 or 100. We would have. Yeah, you're right. They would have last year. Yep, because of that stupid rule. Mm-hmm. Coach, where does Notre Dame end up after all the dust settles? I think they eventually end up in the big around 2030.
I was talking about this earlier, Summit Hawk, and here's my thing is, hell, I'm confused. I've been a Notre Dame fan since I was 6 years old and followed them forever, and hell, I'm confused on what's going to happen with that. I do know this. It's not going to be about money. Okay. No, bottom line, it's not going to be about money because, we have around, I'm just going to use a round figure, $200 billion in an endowment plan. And just 1% off the interest of that brings in, almost $200 million a year. Right. And so it's not about the money. But it is about, and Jason and I talked about this earlier, it's about the bracket. What if you do go undefeated and the best seed you can get is number 5 and you got to play 4 games instead of 3. Yeah. And it just, that's what could drive us into a conference. But
we've known that part too. It's not about the money. It's not, I mean, unless you're way behind like these other schools. I mean, but Notre Dame is not in the same situation as anybody else. They're just not. I mean, the closest that you could say would be BYU because they have that big backing from the LDS church, kind of the same as you know what I mean? They've got fans all over the world, just like Notre Dame does.
Yeah. So so again, to answer your question, Hell, I don't know that it'll be anytime soon or not, but the bracket is going to be what at the
Yeah.
end of the day comes down to what we did. Well, and I think another
Well,
thing,
think about
guys,
this. If you say you go in 1 or 2, you were number 1 or 2 ranked in the country, or even top 3 in the country, and they put you in at 5 because you didn't play a conference championship game. You didn't not playing in the conference. You know
right.
damn good and well that if they don't win the national championship, they don't run through it, and they get knocked out after winning 2 or whatever it is.
Yeah, they're going to be
that'll
saying
be the end of
bullshit.
that shit. That'll be the end of that shit.
Yeah, and it's you know what, and that's a great point, Jason. And I think that's what it's going to take. I think it's going to take that to happen before we say, okay, we
Yeah.
can't keep doing it. The other thing is the only other thing is if it did come down to 2 super conferences, then again we don't have a choice with that either. Then
Well, yeah, but
we've got to go.
But that's where you start. I mean, you know, I don't, as much as I love Greg Swain, I can't buy into his reporting lately. It's just not, I don't think it's real a lot of times. But I do think that you're probably, if they're going to do the 2 super conferences, I don't know that they are, but you know, the people in the Big 12 that think that they would not join the SEC or the Big 10, yes, they would. Yes, they would, because if
they don't, they need to go. They need to go with the group of 5.
This is when you start hearing that you're hearing this from the Oklahoma State fans of the world that don't go to school. So it's just silly shit, right? I think that there's going to be 3. I don't know that they got what they're going to do is I believe that they do break away from the NCAA. They end up with a subdivision, and you don't necessarily need to have just 2 conferences, but you could have some of the teams from the Big 12 that are in the subdivision. Some may not be, right? Some may not be. They were talking about before, if they did that subdivision and they were like sharing money, they would also be that you would have to make 100 million to like qualify for that already. There's only a handful of schools in the Big 12 that do that. Tech was right under it. Tech was right at like 96. I think Oklahoma State barely over it. I would guess that Houston would probably get up there at some point. I don't know about TCU, maybe. I guess TCU is a pretty rich school. I think that they do pretty well, don't they? Yeah. The Dexter Manley School. Hey, that's if you know what, if I know we get a lot of youngsters in here. Whoa. I don't know where I'm at. Can you hear me? Oh, hold on. I can't hear you. You're muted, coach.
Yeah, we can't see you. But you know what, Jason? We can hear you. We can't see you.
That's
So
probably
it's not
better.
all a bad deal.
It's probably I was fixing. I knew that was coming. I don't know what just happened.
I don't know.
Yeah. I'll get out and come right back. But we're almost done anyway. But
All right.
Hold on real quick. I'll come right back.
Sorry, guys. I muted myself because I was over here coughing up a lung. I agree, Kyle. He did forget to pay his light bill.
Back. Camera turned off. I don't know what that was about.
Here you go, Jason, right here.
Got to pay the light bill? No, I wasn't that. I'm at the office, man. I don't even pay this light bill. This one's not my bill. Put some quarters back in it is what Shardy be saying.
There you go. That's right.
Yeah. No, the Dexter Manley line, great line. Remember that dude couldn't read a freaking. Yeah, he didn't know his ABCs. He couldn't spell cat. He was a hell of a football player though. Dexter Manley used to play for the Redskins.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was a stud. That's yeah. But that tells you kind of how old I am too, though. And so if you got that reference, you're over 40 probably.
You're a pup.
Put some more quarters in the machine. It's in there. I knew that was coming. It's back in. It's back.
You're a pup.
Done for a few. Hey, where were we? And then we had another one. Let's see. Neilio, thank you for your super chat as well. Good evening. Hope you're having a great show. It was good, man. It's been good. We appreciate you coming in and joining us as usual. We got even a little heated with the, I've been getting fired at over my Jerry video. Like it's my preference or something. It's not. But aside from that, it's been a good show. It's been fun. You just outed my age because I'm the one that freaking I mean, I picked up on it. Let's see. Now that OU Texas is done with Big Two sports, you could look in the SEC. Horns down. Horns down. Hold on.
All day long. And I tell you what, it's hard to live in my own home now.
Oh, they're loving it.
My son lives with me, and he's a Horns fan.
Talking all about the brand. Oh. Here's what we got to say to that. We got to throw this out there.
The brand has finally returned. F your brand.
Fuck Texas.
Hey, that's like this, right?
Whatever. Yeah. And again, make sure that you guys are there in the morning to check out. It's going to release. It'll release early in the morning. My DeMarco video. I wasn't quite done with it whenever we went live, so I'll finish it and get it up there, and it'll be ready to go in the morning. But look, for sure, we've been hearing a little bit. I threw Horns down at a kid with a Texas when he got bitched at by my old lady. Oh, that's awesome. Hey, you took it as the. Hey, I do that shit all the time. Every time I see somebody with that license plate, I even did it one time. I was doing Christmas shopping in Odessa, was going into Best Buy, and there's a car coming as I'm walking in, right? And the car's coming this way, and they have the Texas license plate on the front. And I'm walking in front of them, and I throw them down like twice. Didn't give a fuck. And they could have ran me over. What a dickhead, but I didn't care. It's just I throw them down, man. I don't care. But they're talking this stuff about DeMarco. They're loving that. Oh, well, why would he leave? That just lets you know. Look, they lost their head coach, Lincoln Riley, and you guys don't realize that they have not skipped a beat on offense with Lincoln leaving. They had a higher scoring offense.
USC skipping.
Yeah, he's screwed. But and I even actually like Wayne. He's okay, but he's talking so much shit about what a big deal. First off, I don't believe that DeMarco's going to leave. I think there's some signs that he's throwing out there that I'm not positive how bought in he is. But why would you go and coach those guys at Ohio State? Is the only thing I'll say is this. He's recruited all the guys in his room, and he's killing it at recruiting. So I'm not too sure. Yeah, Wayne talks a lot of shit, Sooner Cowboys. Yeah, shots fired at it doesn't take long, does it? Hey, look, that's the one thing that me and Coach are always going to agree on that one, right? I didn't used to hate USC until recently, and I like USCJ, but
I always had. I've always hated him.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
He turned the NFL down, but if he's wanting to be, here's the one thing I would say about this: if he's really wanting to be an offensive coordinator, Ryan Day could help him do that, right? There's a couple of things. I mean, I'm going to finish that video. I don't want to ruin that, but just guys, don't Don't be that surprised about it. Now, my question for all of you would be, how would you feel about that if he did?
And that's what I was fixing to say. I think he'll really burn his bridges there at OU.
He's invested in too much. I think that he's invested in these kids, but I also think, again, not to give away the video, but I also think that there's some issues there. Yeah, he hired an OC, but okay, so you go and work with Chip Kelly, who's highly respected offensive guy. Ryan Day, highly respected offensive guy. If they do go win a national championship, now you're hot. He needs the money. He does not need the money. Ask AD to come coach him. Oh, AD needs the money. He may. But look, guys, there's the part of it is it's some of these guys that, especially as young as DeMarco's young. He's younger than AD, and he's already coaching. And AD just stopped playing. But they struggle with coaching a lot of times because they still got that, especially running backs. Man, running backs have egos.
No.
Oh, man. The Anthony Davis game. Oh, he hates him because he's a Notre Dame fan. It's just in the blood. Hey, remember when you could ask Siri who owns Ohio Stadium and she would say Baker? Oh, is that right? Damn it. I love that.
That's
we could teach her
hilarious.
to say that either way. That's awesome. Hell yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, I don't know that that's what's going to happen, but it'd be good to have Adrian Peterson in the building for sure. The thing is, I think a lot of those guys have a hard time getting along. And as we said, remember, Tawi took a swing at DeMarco last year. Why? You know what I mean?
Good question.
I don't know. And why is there so many of these jobs popping up that he's looking at? I hope it's just so he can get used to getting job interviews and maybe he can. I think he can learn just as much from Seth Luttrell. I'm just telling you, if you start looking at Chip and Ryan Day, they probably have a little more clout. Haven't played, but I just don't think it's completely out of the realm of possibility. I'm not saying it's happening. I'm telling you, I don't think it's completely out of the realm. That's all.
But he and in that he's got to weigh it out. I mean, what's going to work good for him? Because at the end of the day, like I said, if he ever wants to come back, wants to come back to OU as an OC or a head coach, possibly, it ain't going to happen if he leaves right now.
You leave right now like that for if it was the coordinator job, nobody would say shit.
Right.
But if you
not
go
a lateral
if
move.
it's a lateral movement and you do that, no, you're in deep shit. I think that again, I asked Kyle this earlier. I said, what would you think? And he was like, well, I get it, it wouldn't really bother me. I said, yeah, but are you in the majority there or the minority? No. We know how Oklahoma fans are. It would not go over well. Be like a fart in church, man. Just not going over well. Not happening. Look, I agree with this too. The black Suburban stuck in his house. That was USC, bastards. Yeah. I know that. And look, but if he's playing the salary game, and I could definitely understand it because everybody else is getting raises, give me mine too. He's recruiting as good as anybody. He's getting who he wants.
I tell you what, though, guys, I just from my coaching experiences in that process, you got to be careful when you start playing those games because sometimes you don't like the outcome of those games. If you're going to play the salary game, it may not work out like you think it's going to.
Gotta be careful. And well, there's only so much money. And who do you think that Venables is? He right now, he knew he needed to keep his defensive guys that are recruiting and doing what they're really wanting to do. I didn't say that. I don't know that we'll miss anything. I'm not saying we wouldn't miss anything. We're missing his recruiting for sure, Chuck. We miss his, and look, this is kind of late in the game. It's kind of late in the game, man. Now you're going to have to go find another coach. He could just be wanting to run game. Hey, you could be. Again, there's just like I said, I'm going to kind of spell out what I'm talking about. All I'm trying to get at is I wouldn't be super surprised if he did it. And I'll give you that. At least he's doing it out. And I mean, people are knowing about it.
But even if he wants that offensive coordinator run game, you know, if he wants that, go sit down with BV. Don't play games. Games like that will get you in trouble. And you know what? Sometimes, guys, us egotistical asshole coaches, sometimes we think we're worth more than what other people see in us. So you got to be careful when you're playing those games.
Hey, guys, Sooner Cowboys, again, the new norm is nothing's fucking normal. Guys, it's really a good problem to have. It's a good problem to have because that means that you're doing something well. You know, as well as he's recruited, that's something that Ryan Day was talking a lot about. No, they've got cohesion. Some I don't think it's as crazy as that. I mean, look, the whole offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator thing, that's overblown shit, man. It's all overblown. You're listening to what a lot of see. Here we go with Sooner Cowboys in this doom and gloom. Look, he's not even gone. Okay, apparently he's supposed to be doing it. Y'all kill me in the comments tomorrow if you think I'm wrong. But it'll be in there tomorrow morning. But anything else you want to talk about a little bit, Coach? We got to get out of here. I've got to finish up this other deal, and I got other work. So.
I'm good, brother. I'm coughing myself to death at this point.
Yeah.
So I'm good.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I do want to tell you guys that y'all are incredible. I love the conversations that we have. I like the jabbing and poking a little fun at each other.
Sure.
I love it all. And guys, and Jason, thank you for letting me be part of this because it's just I have a blast doing it. But thank all of you guys that come on here. Y'all are incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, guys. Hey, you know we love having you here, Coach. You know, I didn't never see Hankster tonight, which is kind of surprising. And I hadn't seen Steve B. Of all the guys that I hadn't seen much lately is Steve B. I haven't seen him lately either. The rest of you guys, I'm glad that everybody came in here. Summit Hawk, good to see you in here again. Kyle, Chuck, you know, Stephen G, always good to see you. Ryman Lemon. Let's see, Jimmy. He said, play silly games, get silly prizes. Love it. Shawty, thanks always as always for coming in. Make sure you guys get over there and check out Shawty's show tomorrow night, 9:30 Eastern time. Just my damn opinion. Got some good stuff going on. Sooner Cowboys, thanks for coming in. Jordan, Crimson Omen. Let's see, Topper Gurr. I think that's how you say it, or TP. I'll just say that. But yeah, Ryman Lemon. Again, Mars Jams, appreciate you guys. All you guys always, as always, Neelio, Summit Heart, love it. We appreciate all you guys coming and joining us tonight. Let us know what you think of the content as it comes out, and you're going to start seeing a lot more of it. So, you know, stick with this, and we're all ready to see the season this talking season stuff and all this craziness that's going on. Kind of sucks, but it is what it is. If you hadn't already hit that like button, please make sure that you go ahead and do that. And we will see you all on the next one as soon as I can find it.